Most people think making the minimum payment means they are successfully paying off their debt. But the truth is, the minimum payment is not designed to help you escape debt quickly. It is designed to keep your account active while the balance remains profitable. You pay. Your account stays current. You feel responsible. But month after month, the debt barely moves. In the United States, 45% of credit card owners carried a balance at least once during 2025. Total credit card balances had already reached approximately $1.2 trillion by late 2025. That means millions of people are not simply using credit cards. They are carrying yesterday's spending into tomorrow's income. And in this video, you will see exactly how a small minimum payment can keep an ordinary balance alive for years. More importantly, near the end, you will learn a simple escape system called the debt payment floor. It prevents your payment from shrinking and helps you finally create visible progress. But first, you need to understand why the minimum payment feels so safe. Imagine Lena. Lena earns $2,000 per month. She is not careless with money. She pays her rent, buys groceries, covers transport, and helps her family when she can. But over several months, ordinary problems appeared. A car repair cost $500. A medical appointment cost $180. A broken phone cost $300. Groceries became more expensive. None of these expenses felt luxurious. They felt necessary. So Lena used her credit card. At first, the balance was only $600. Then it became $1,200. Then $2,400. Eventually, it reached $4,000. When the statement arrived, Lena expected the payment to be enormous. Instead, the minimum payment was only $120. She felt relieved. She paid the $120 on time and thought, "At least I am handling it." The next month, she paid another $120. Then another. 6 months later, Lena had paid $720. But when she checked the balance, she was shocked. It was still close to $4,000. How could she pay hundreds of dollars and still owe almost the same amount? This is where the minimum payment trap begins. A credit card payment normally has two jobs. First, it pays the interest charged for borrowing the money. Only what remains reduces the original balance. Suppose Lena's card has a 24% annual interest rate. That is roughly 2% per month for a simplified example. On a $4,000 balance, 1 month of interest could be around $80. If Lena pays $120, approximately $80 may go toward interest. Only around $40 reduces the balance. She paid $120, but her debt moved by only $40. Now add one small purchase. A $45 fuel payment, a $60 grocery top-up, a $35 prescription. Suddenly, the new spending is larger than the progress she made. She is paying the card, but she is not escaping the card. Pause for a moment. This is the part most people miss. The minimum payment answers one question. What is the smallest amount I can pay without falling behind? It does not answer the more important question. What amount will actually get me out of debt? Those are completely different questions. Imagine 3 people each have a $4,000 balance at 24% interest. The first pays a fixed $120 every month. With no additional purchases, it could take around 56 months to clear the balance and cost approximately $2,658 in interest. The second pays $200 every month. The balance could disappear in around 26 months, with approximately $1,159 paid in interest. The third pays $300 every month. The debt could be gone in around 16 months, with approximately $699 paid in interest. Same balance, same interest rate, completely different future. The payment amount does not merely change how uncomfortable this month feels. It changes how many future paychecks remain connected to the past. And here is another problem. On many credit cards, the minimum payment decreases as the balance falls. At first, your minimum may be $120. Later, it becomes $105, then $90, then $75. That shrinking payment feels like progress, but it can quietly slow down your repayment. You were already comfortable paying $120, but instead of maintaining that amount, you follow the minimum downward. The lender lowers the requirement, and you lower your effort. The debt becomes smaller, but your repayment speed becomes slower too. This is why the minimum payment is useful as a safety requirement, but dangerous as a long-term strategy. Paying at least the minimum is important. Missing it can lead to late fees, higher rates, damaged credit history, or the loss of a promotional interest rate. But staying current is not the same as becoming debt-free. One prevents immediate damage. The other creates financial progress. So why do intelligent people remain in this trap? Because the minimum payment uses several powerful psychological shortcuts. The first is relief. When someone sees a $4,000 balance, the number feels threatening. Then they see a minimum payment of $120. The fear drops immediately. The mind stops focusing on the total debt and starts focusing on surviving the next due date. The second is the completion effect. You receive a bill. You make the requested payment. The app displays a green check mark. Payment successful. Your brain interprets the task as complete. But the payment task is complete. The debt problem is not. The third is payment anchoring. The lender shows you $120, so $120 begins to feel like the correct amount. Paying $180 feels generous. Paying $250 feels extreme. But the first number you saw was not a recommendation for building wealth. It was simply the minimum required by the account. The fourth is invisible interest. Quick examples. You spend $100 at a shop, and you remember what you purchased. You pay $50 in interest, and you receive nothing new. You buy a meal, and you experience the meal. You pay a finance charge, and your lifestyle does not improve. You transfer $120 to the card, but only part of it buys back your freedom. Because interest does not arrive as a physical product, people underestimate how much of their income it consumes. The fifth is future optimism. This month is difficult, but next month I will pay more. After my bonus, I will clear it. Once this expense disappears, I will attack the card. But next month brings another birthday, another repair, another school expense, another price increase, or another family responsibility. The future payment remains imaginary. The minimum payment remains real. So how do you escape? Start with the debt payment floor. Look at the amount you are already paying toward the debt. Then choose a fixed payment that does not decrease when the minimum decreases. Suppose your current minimum is $120, but you can consistently afford $180. Your debt payment floor becomes $180. Next month, the minimum falls to $112. You still pay $180. Later, it falls to $96. You still pay $180. The gap between the falling minimum and your fixed payment attacks more of the principal every month. Your required payment shrinks. Your actual payment does not. That is how momentum begins. Next, stop adding new purchases to the balance. You cannot drain a bathtub while the tap is still running. Move recurring subscriptions away from the card. Use cash or a debit account for everyday spending. Remove the card from shopping apps. Do not carry it for routine purchases if temptation is a problem. A repayment plan cannot work when new spending continuously replaces the balance you just removed. Third, read the repayment information on your statement. In some countries, credit card statements show how long repayment could take if you make only minimum payments. In the United States, issuers must also show an estimated monthly amount that could clear the current balance in 3 years, assuming no new purchases. Do not ignore that box. It may reveal the real difference between surviving the account and eliminating it. Fourth, direct unexpected money toward the principal. A refund, overtime income, a small bonus. Money from selling and used items. A month with lower transport costs. You do not need to send every extra dollar to debt and leave yourself with nothing, but decide on a percentage before the money arrives. For example, 50% toward debt, 30% toward emergency savings, and 20% for personal use. This allows progress without making the plan feel like punishment. Fifth, build a small emergency buffer while repaying the debt. Even $300 or $500 can prevent a minor problem from returning directly to the credit card. Without a buffer, every repair becomes new debt. Every medical expense becomes new debt. Every unexpected journey becomes new debt. The card becomes your emergency fund, and the minimum payment becomes the subscription fee for staying trapped. Finally, if you cannot afford the minimum payment, do not ignore the account. Contact the lender early. Explain the situation, ask about hardship options, and discuss a payment amount you can realistically maintain. Silence normally reduces your options. Early communication may increase them. The minimum payment trap matters because debt does more than remove money. It removes choices. A portion of your future paycheck is already committed before you earn it. A new job becomes harder to leave. An emergency becomes harder to absorb. Investing feels impossible. Saving feels slow. Even a small opportunity may have to be rejected because your past spending still has a claim on your present income. The goal is not to feel ashamed for using credit. People use debt during emergencies, unstable income periods, and genuinely difficult seasons. The goal is to recognize the moment when a temporary solution becomes a permanent monthly obligation. Making the minimum payment can protect your account, but it should not become your definition of progress. Real progress is when the balance falls faster, when interest takes less, when your payment remains strong even as the minimum becomes smaller, when your paycheck slowly stops belonging to the past. So remember this. The minimum payment is the floor set by the lender. Your debt payment floor is the amount chosen by you. One keeps the account alive, the other helps in the debt. And once the balance is gone, do not allow that monthly payment to disappear into lifestyle spending. Redirect it toward your emergency fund, your savings, or your first investments. That is how a debt payment becomes a wealth-building payment. And this trap is only one part of a much larger system. Another major trap begins when people use credit cards as emergency funds, turning every unexpected expense into new long-term debt. Watch the Money Trap series next, because it exposes the ordinary financial decisions that quietly keep people stuck. You will learn how to avoid common money mistakes, protect your income, make smarter financial decisions, and build a stronger path toward long-term wealth and financial freedom. The more traps you can recognize early, the less of your future you will have to spend escaping them.